Welcome one, welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing about how great Toyotas do on the Rubicon Trail with stab tires, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and germs. My name is Tyler, and joining me in the studio today is Mr. Jimmy Jett. Mr. Jett, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm getting back to life here, which is really weird.
I was going to ask if you recovered yet.
No. Although I gave Morflate Sean the day off because he ended up working Sunday as well. So Monday I gave him off, and then Morflate Ryan had some stuff going on, some personal stuff they had to attend to. So I was here at the warehouse like by myself all day Monday. I got so much work done. I need to like have those guys work night times or graveyard shifts or something so I can get work done during the day.
Yeah, or you work the nighttime shift.
No. That's not how this works.
Oh,
okay. Oh, man. Yeah, getting back to life after being away from life literally away from cell service and everything for a week.
Yeah.
Is
it was like
interesting.
A week and a half for me.
I know, man. Yeah.
With some random days in the middle, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit here on this episode. This is a Thursday episode, though. And as we promised, we have some updates to get through.
Yes, we
do. Some wieners to announce and some other fun things to get through. So shall we just jump right in?
Yeah, we've got a lot of things to cover, so I think we might as well just get at it.
Cool. Let's start with the first thing on the list. Let's do our giveaway from July. How about that?
Sounds good. What was the giveaway for July?
I don't remember. So long ago.
It was the Spartan rope.
I knew that. I knew it.
You got a like 30-foot long, dude. It's like at least 1 inch, 1 1/8 inch girthy kinetic strap and one soft shackle.
Yeah.
Because I'm taking the other one.
You're taking the other soft shackle? Yeah. Nice. Perfect. So we got a kinetic strap and soft shackle from Spartan Rope. So huge shout out to them. Go check them out. They're actually, I got him in touch with Morflate's Bag Factory. Oh. So he's having some bags made apparently.
Oh, nice.
Which will be really cool to kind of see the design that they come up with. But he now has some made in USA straps as well that are in stock, ready to go. So you guys can go check those out. But we have a winner for it.
We do.
Who from was the month of July. It was none other than Mr. Rubicon Trail Adventures himself. Mr. Dave McKinney.
Dave McKinney. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. I have a feeling this episode is going to launch, I don't know, I'm guessing around 9 a.m. Thursday. I'm guessing by about 9, let's see, how many minutes are we into this? 9:05, I'm going to get a call from Dave.
Yeah. Maybe. And that's good because he can definitely use it. Yeah. I think one of the last times we were out on the trail with him out on the trail, he had like 2 or 3 rigs broken.
Oh, two? Yeah. Yes, 2 at least.
2. Yeah,
the Honey Badger broke and another one broke at least. I don't know if there's a third one, but
yeah. Out in the new RTF property, I think is where they were, and they limped them back. And so you probably could have used a nice strap like this.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm sure Dave would agree as well.
Probably. And congratulations, Dave. You're gonna love it. And thank you, Spartan Ropes, for donating and this awesome gift of the. I don't know how big this thing is. Do you know what the weight rating is by chance offhand?
I know we said it earlier in July.
Yeah.
I looked up the weight ratings and gave it to everybody.
30,000 or something.
Yeah, nuts. I want to say the breaking strength was somewhere between 30 and 40,000.
Yeah.
So
30,000. We'll just go with that.
There we go.
And 2 soft shackles, which also have a really high breaking strength, and a bag. There is a bag in there too. And maybe some swag.
2 soft shackles?
Yeah, well, Dave's a good guy. I guess I'll let him have the other one.
Okay. I think technically one of those soft shackles was for you. Because I took the other one.
We got one in a previous gift.
Oh, okay.
So I have one of his.
Gotcha.
I used it on you on the Rubicon.
You don't use straps on me.
No, I used a soft shackle. You did.
Oh. What did you use?
We connected your winch to me.
We connected my winch to you
And I used a Spartan rope soft shackle for my D-link to your winch.
What were we doing? Did I need the winch or did you need
needed the winch?
I
don't need winches.
I don't need winches.
Yeah, right. It was Supple.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Stupid Supple. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, congrats, Dave. Enjoy. We'll get in contact with you, buddy, to get you that and take care of some other stuff that I need to see about. So let's see. This month's giveaway is with Tom over at Affordable Bender. And I think the last kind of update we had talked about with Affordable Bender, we had one here in the studio. I have since taken it home. I remember reading through the instructions and saying that there was a limit to what it could bend.
Yeah.
Obviously, there should be a limit.
Right.
You can't just throw solid stock in there, right? And it said that the most you could bend in 1 3/4 tubing was...
It was like 0.9.
0.996, something like that. And I was like, well, that's not even 1/8 wall.
Nope.
And so I started looking into it, and I asked Dylan from Keep Our Deserts Clean. I was like, what did you used the Affordable Bender to do your cage and on your truck and everything, right? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, okay, what did you do your cage out of? He goes, 1 3/4, 1/8 wall. So, or 120 wall, right? So same thing. And I was like,
sort of
0.005
difference.
Yeah. And I was like, how did your bender do? Because it says that it's limited to like 0.96 or 0.096. Sorry, not 0.96. That's a thick ass wall. 0.096 on the wall thickness. And he said that it struggled a little bit the way it comes with the 6-ton bottle jack. But he said that he threw in an 8-ton, a 10-ton, I think he said an 8-ton into his, and then had to redo the little capture cup at the top that holds the ram for the bottle jack.
Yeah.
He said once he did that, he was able to do 120 wall, no problem.
Nice. Okay.
And so I talked to Tom, the owner of Affordable Bender, and I was like, hey, I've heard you can do this to the bender in order to bend 1/8 wall. Is that correct? Or like, is the frame going to be compromised or can the die handle it as well? And he said pretty much, no, yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Nice.
So my plan for my bender is I have that old, the 12-ton shop press.
Yeah.
That I got that I don't use.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take the 12-ton bottle jack out of it and see if I can put that in there.
Oh man. You're going to break it.
I know. And then I'm going to have to reinforce stuff, I think. So,
well, I did the same. I talked to Chai up at Sierra Trek.
Okay.
And I said, you built this whole cage. We were looking at Sue's Forerunner. And I was like, you built this whole cage with the Affordable Bender, right? And he's like, yep. And I'm like, is it 120 wall? And he's like, yeah. Did your bender struggle? He's like, no, it's fine. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try and fit the 12-ton bottle jack in there and see how that goes.
Let us all know.
I will indeed. Yeah. So anyways, that was kind of the update on Affordable Bender I wanted to give because I did have somebody had reached out and said, it's a great bender, but you can't do 120 wall. And I was like, oh, I should probably look into that. And that's my findings. So there you go.
Thank you.
Goal is to get Tom on the podcast here. Hopefully by the end of the month, maybe the first week of September. But either way, we're going to have him on one way or another in order to talk about bending tube.
Yes.
And everything that goes into that. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. Get some really cool insight from him. Let's see. What else do we got on the docket over there?
We've got FNGs and birthdays.
FNGs and birthdays. We did all that this morning.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Like an hour and a half.
You guys really need to get off Patreon, please.
irate 4x4 is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
We're super happy that we're all there. It's a really great place for all of us to chat. It's nice to be able to have a good central location that we can all kind of communicate, and all the episodes are posted. You can talk on each episode, or we have everything else out there. But man, the back end stuff got a lot harder.
Yeah, it did. And Austin even said that he'd be willing to set up some reports for us if we just figured out like what we needed. I might be sending him an email today.
Yeah.
And we'll see what we do. But
see how it goes.
But yeah, it would also help us out a lot if you guys would get off Patreon.
To some extent. And don't change your name in the middle of a month.
Yes. We had one person change, I guess it's signed up under his business name, and the business name changed on the account, and we got very confused for a while.
Yes, that was confusing.
Anyways, we have FNGs. So the new people from July, we have one. Yep. It's Green Thumb Irrigation LLC.
Nice.
Who I think is Ryan Gorsuch.
Yes, yeah. People are getting smart, man. You get a shout out of your business if you
sign up. Advertising.
Like, $10, you get a shout out.
Yep. Oh man. So thank you. I think Ryan. At least that's his shipping address.
Oh, shipping address. Yeah. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan. And then we also have a couple of ones. We missed one from June.
Yep. Sorry about that.
So Franco Portelli.
Thank you, Franco.
From June. Thank you, Franco. And then we also have a correction.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Reggie Miller. Sorry, you are not an FNG. You have been with us since the start.
Yes, sir.
Sometime in 2019.
Yep. And we were going back through some other stuff too, like the annual subscriptions and just kind of that that gap for the 1 to 2 months. Like some people missed a couple of months there. And so when they signed back up, we listed them as FNGs, and Reggie was one of them. And so we found also, I think there was 3 other people that we had listed that way too. But we got you guys your birthdays. If you remember that your birthday got listed or messed up and you got mentioned as an FNG when you weren't an FNG, we should have it fixed now.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So get in contact with us if you think otherwise, and we'll get your birthday listed here and corrected.
Or just wait until next, May, and you'll have a 1 year.
There we go. So let's do some birthdays, shall we?
Yes. 1 year birthdays.
1 year birthdays. We have Mr. Austin Garrad.
Austin, thank you so much.
You gotta say the last name.
I don't know how to say that. Garrad.
There you go. Good job.
Okay. Gerard, right?
Gerard? Definitely not Gerard. It's Garrod. Garrod.
Austin Garage. Thank you very much.
Garage.
Send all your hate mail.
Yeah, send all your hate mail to Jimmy at snailtrail4x4.com. Let's see, 2 year birthdays.
Oh, we got more birthdays. 2 years.
Some more. We have 3 2-year birthdays.
3 of them. Why are you laughing already?
You'll see.
Okay.
One of them is Roger Lutz.
Thanks, Roger.
One of them is Mr. Unimog.
Mr. Unimog.
Ron Tuttle.
Oh, okay. I'm like, which one?
Yeah, no, we got 3 of them now.
Austin. Okay, Ron, thank you. Missed you at Sierra Trek this year. Didn't see ya.
And then the third one is Debbie Poole.
Oh, Debbie Poole. Congratulations.
Thanks, Debbie, for all your support. Debbie's been doing some cool stuff up with the Mendocino four-wheelers. Just FYI.
It's really cool to see what that Debbie is doing.
Yeah. I fully expect t-shirts now with Debbie Poole on them.
Join the Mendocino 4x4 Club, sponsored by Debbie Poole.
Oh, man. And then 3 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. 3 years.
We have 3 years.
We have 3 years, right?
3 years. You are correct. Yeah. One of them is Robert Santiano.
Robert Santiano. Thank you.
Mr. Nerd Going Outside. Who? Let me. We know who that is.
I know who that is.
Mr. James Stanley.
Ah, thank you. I forgot who that was.
I think he might have been J Squared. He is. He's J Squared. James Squared. Yeah, Jimmy Squared.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're original. Yeah. You're OG Jimmy.
I'm the,
And he was the second Jimmy. So he was Jimmy Squared.
Wow. J Squared. Nice job.
And then it looks like James Claiborne might be J Cubed.
Is that our other third birthday? Or is that?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm just looking through the birthdays for Jameses.
All the Jameses.
Yeah. James Davenport is James to the fourth. What's the fourth? I don't know.
Quattro.
James Van Andel. Let's see, how many more James do we got?
Some great names in this lineup.
And they're all right. James Oakey. Anyway,
Are there any Tylers?
there's only one Tyler, okay?
You?
Yes.
Okay.
I am the only Tyler that matters, at least.
That's sad.
All
All right. There's one more 3-year birthday.
Third year birthday is our favorite stripper.
Oh. Reed.
The stripper.
Brian.
Brian Bendix.
Brian Bendix.
Yes.
Once again, another kid using their parents' account.
Thank you, Debbie and Brian.
And Reed and Kevin.
Oh, man. So, yeah, those are the birthdays.
Yes, thank
all
you.
of them. So thank you guys for all of your support. It's a lot of fun having you guys around, interacting with you guys all the time. So
we're not terribly far. Well, we're 4 months out from the first Patreon when we signed up for Patreon originally.
May. Yep.
So May, June, July, August, 3 months out.
Mm-hmm.
So we eventually, and we'll care about it more next year. I think we should do something fun for 5-year birthdays.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really neat. Maybe we can do some t-shirts or, something fun for the 5-year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you think we'll make it to 5 years?
I hope so.
Okay, cool. Oh, man. So
I will.
You will? I'm going to get replaced here soon, I think. Jimmy's tired of my shit.
Morphlate Sean, join me on the cuddle couch.
No, they already have their own podcast. It's the Limp Runner podcast. I don't know if everybody heard the intro to it a couple episodes ago.
Well, I had a great interview with Morphlate Sean up at Sierra Trek. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nice. Was there cuddling involved?
Maybe some discussion of it.
Figures. Nice. Well, cool, man. That does it for FNGs and birthdays and giveaways.
Voicemails.
We have a voicemail.
We do?
We do, actually. I haven't listened to it. I haven't read it yet either. So,
do you know who it's from?
I did not check.
Is it just a random number? Are we going to have one of those like, your car insurance needs to be renewed? Oh, I got one from Amazon the other day that said somebody had bought something on my account that was like $1,000 and they wanted to check it out, but they wanted my credit card number.
Oh, yeah.
To check it out. I'm like, why do you need my credit card number?
Yeah.
Aren't you Amazon? Don't you already have it? Don't you already see it on your account?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they didn't get very far.
I almost sold a Morphlate to a telemarketer the other day.
Nice.
He was getting kind of pissed about it all. He was saying that he was calling to help with advertising, and I was like, "Oh, awesome! Yeah, you want to do advertising on a Morphlate? Yeah, if you want to buy one, I'll give you 50% off, and you can do some advertising with it." And eventually I was like, he goes, "That's not what we're doing. You pay us." I was like, no, you're paying us.
Yeah.
And went back and forth for a while. I was like, you know what? Can I just talk to your supervisor, please? And so then the supervisor came on. He goes, "Hey, how's it going?" I was like, "Hey, I'm just trying to figure out, your guy said that you guys wanted to buy advertising. And so I'm just trying to collect payment for it." And the supervisor was like, "What? He told that?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "That's not what we do. You buy from us." And I was like, No. He said you guys wanted to buy from us." It went on for like 20 minutes. It was fantastic.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so voicemails where we were at, right?
Record those.
So I've been trying to find an app that records phone calls because there are some freaking hilarious customer service calls that come through on Morphlate. I had somebody call the other day and ask what a valve stem was. So anyways, I've been trying to find an app. And
that person obviously doesn't listen to the podcast, so you can play that one probably.
Know, right? So, apparently you're not allowed to record phone calls without people's permission.
Yeah.
Because of that, apps cannot automatically record phone calls anymore. They'll only record your side of the phone call, not the other people's.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, if you use the Rode...
Right, just set up the Rode permanently in my office so we can record all those customer service calls. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. All right, so let's see. Back to voicemails. So this one, holy crap, this is a long one. I don't know. doesn't say who it's from, though. So let's see what we got here. It's 3 minutes long.
Wow.
All right. You ready for this?
Sure. I'm reclined.
All right. Yep. I need a recliner over here. Here we go.
You can pull the lever.
I can pull the lever. I didn't put levers on. Oh, let's pull this away from the wall. I forgot about that.
For those that don't know, Tyler's sitting in your old Forerunner seats.
Yeah.
And you can recline the Forerunner seats.
I was thinking about like putting my feet up. I guess I could recline it and then put my feet on the table.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Hey guys, this is Tyler Behrman. I posed a question about leaf springing a third gen Tacoma. I 100% agree with Tyler in saying that it is dumb. It is a very dumb idea to put leaf springs under a third gen Tacoma. However, it did get both of you guys reconsidering your own build. So the point of the question was really think about the weird stuff to do with your truck. How being said, arms on your Forerunner when you know it's going to be a trailer queen one day. I'm going to come to your neighbor's house with a leaf blower and put everything on your lawn. 3-link the front, wait to 4-link the rear, move your fuel tank up into your cabin. Done. No way. It's a trailer queen. You ain't got to worry about it, and it'll go anywhere and everywhere you want. Back to the third gen. I have no plans on solid axle swapping my third gen. Not this one, at least. I bought this truck brand new. It had 0.7 of a mile on it, and I've been following the Marlin Crawler kit since 2018. I 100% am going to go with the Marlin Crawler kit when they come around a little bit more, because this truck is going to go to the Rubicon. I want to complete the Rubicon and Slick Rock, go through Moab, all that stuff, while driving this truck from Ohio. Again, dumb. It's a really dumb idea, but I think it would be a really cool thing to accomplish. So that's what this truck's going to get built for. Really enjoyed listening to you guys go back and forth about what suspension could work and what has worked. Having built several sets of suspension myself on a couple of different buggies and just off-road trail trucks and stuff, you know, it's a lot of fun to just go back and forth and talk about what could work and what you need the truck to do. No, it's truck and not Jeep. But that being said, love the show, love the episode. Keep it going, and don't be afraid to talk about the weird, silly stuff that you could do, because that gets your gears turning and what might point you in a different direction.
Oh, he got cut off.
Time limit.
Time's up. Apparently, you can only leave 3-minute voicemails on Google Voice. So, did I get that correct? That's the guy that wrote in the question?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah, it was kind of fun to hear him follow up to some extent. That was fun. Yeah, and I think I like his point. You know, it's too. Like, don't write something off automatically, you know, just because it's weird. You know, maybe there's a way to expand the weird and make it into awesome. So, as the old guy on, I want to say all the Instagram audios, go be weird. Yeah. Okay. Bye. Okay. Bye. No, I agree. And I mean, I thought that episode was fun because we did banter back and forth about what would be good and what wouldn't and why. And, you know, and it definitely got me thinking about all different types of directions that it could take, you know, Charlotte, the Tacoma. So, yeah, the same. It's, yeah, I think I did from talking with that though. And then I had quite a few people write in saying essentially radius arms are stupid. Don't do that. Yeah. A lot of people did. I was surprised. There was like nobody really, maybe been one or two that was like,
Yeah, radius arms are okay. I've got radius arms on my rig, and they do just fine. And
yeah, it seems like everybody that has radius arms thinks they're fine.
Yeah.
Everybody that doesn't have radius arms says 3-link it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 4-link it if you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting there is a debate there about radius arms between 3-linkers and radius arm people.
The thing that I worry about with a 3-link that I think is the major point I want to say is that the pinion angle changes a lot more with a 3-link than with a radius arm. But the axle swings more with a radius arm than a 3-link. Does that make sense? So as the axle drops, it's swinging.
Okay.
I don't know how to describe that.
It arcs.
It arcs as it drops, whereas a 3-link, it'll more or less go straight down for the most part. But in doing that, it twists the axle, which with a 3-link, it'll drop, but it'll drop at an arc sideways
to either driver or passenger, depending on how you set it up. So that's even that becomes an odd pinion angle too.
Yeah, true. Yeah, interesting. I think I'm still going to be going with a 3-link no matter what.
Yeah,
in the front for sure. But it's always fun to just kind of talk about suspension geometry and how they behave.
Yeah.
In free space, I guess.
Absolutely. Over the last week of being out on the trail, I talked to a bunch of people about Samantha, and everybody's like, why aren't you 4-linking the rear? And right now I'm at the point where it's like, I just want to try those sliders in the rear to see how they work. And then probably in a season, I'll 4-link it.
Yeah.
Or who knows, maybe they don't work and I have to actually end up 4-linking it. Don't know yet.
Yeah.
And because I don't know anybody who's thrown them on the rear. Everybody only has them on the front.
Yeah. I think if you want to get really weird with suspension setups, you could do IDS front and back.
IDS?
Which is independent differential suspension.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I sent you that photo.
Yeah.
With the IDI. With the Ford independent front suspension that has 2 differentials.
Yes.
One on each I-beam.
Yep. One on each I-beam. And it was really cool seeing that. And I was like, I wondered, then it started making me think, could you set the same setup in the rear with some kind of like reversing adapter in between the second D case with a reversing adapter in the middle of them?
Maybe. Or reverse cut gears, right?
Yeah, right.
So who knows?
Yeah. Anyways, so I think that would be interesting. And then another really weird one would be a fully electric rock crawler with one motor at each wheel with live suspension at each wheel too.
Absolutely.
So that you don't have to have lockers.
Nope.
There's no axle shafts.
Nope.
It's just
there might be something. A motor to a spindle. I don't know how that all goes.
A motor and a spindle and a hub. I don't know. It's a little stub shaft maybe kind of sticking out there. But then you have all your suspension and the motor is housed within the suspension. And then you can raise and lower the suspension as much as you want to and change the suspension dynamics on each corner on the fly as well.
And then you can lengthen the frame or shorten the frame. So it can just extend out and become really long.
I don't know if I'd go that far yet.
Boo.
Yeah, I'm not quite that point yet. Because that's already been done.
Yeah. That one hydraulic guy.
Yeah, the hydraulic guy that has the fully hydraulicable.
That's a weird vehicle, though. Looks like a spider.
But anyways, so suspension stuff. Fun things.
Yeah.
So thanks for calling back and following up with all of that.
That was fun. Yeah. Thank you.
Let's see. What else do we got over on the list?
Nothing. That's it.
Nothing?
I think we're into what in the butt.
Wow. So if we're getting into that, let's see. God, we have some time to go through, stories to get through, because last time we had recorded, I think you were leaving to go to the Rubicon to meet up with the SLO County Crawlers.
Yep.
And then immediately after that, we both went on the Rubicon for the GlueTread trip. And then immediately after that, we both went to Sierra Trek.
Correct.
Yeah. So I only saw you for like 5 minutes at Sierra Trek.
I know. We were going in different directions.
So I'm curious to hear.
I was working, you were playing.
Yeah, okay. You were working for Snail Trail.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious to hear how your Sierra Trek was, and I'm also curious to hear how your trip out on the Rubicon was with the SLO County Crawlers.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, let's start somewhat at the beginning. So I was having T-case issues again. Did I conclude the T-case saga? I don't think I did.
You said it was a bearing that was off tilt just a little bit because of some aluminum in the bottom.
Correct. Did I bring that up on the podcast?
Yes.
Okay. So after that bearing was seated properly, everything went together fine.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. And so then put it all back together and everything was working. Everything was great. It was gravy.
Nice.
That bearing set me back about a day because of the T-case. And I got new information about what was going on the Rubicon because there was the event with the side-by-sides happening and Jeep Jamboree was going on like right after that.
Yeah.
So I found sort of a window of time that I snuck onto the Rubicon. Technically, the Rubicon was parade permitted closed, but I didn't. And I think some guy tried to stop me, but I kind of waved and smiled and said hi and kept driving. But he didn't really didn't press the fact that I was on the trail and it was still parade permitted times.
Okay.
I was on the trail. I think I got onto the trail about 6 p.m.
Okay.
And my understanding was the side-by-sides on let's see, this was Thursday, were off the trail by noon.
Okay.
Because they drove from Rubicon Springs, they got to Loon Lake, and then they had lunch for them, and then everybody went home. Okay. So there was not really anybody on the trail for the side-by-sides, and Jeep Jamboree was coming in on Friday.
Gotcha.
So I was like, okay,
sneak in,
ready, go. And we were just going to Spider. We had permission to camp on the private property out there at Spider with the SLO County Crawlers. And I wheeled in by myself solo, but I was in radio communications if anything was needed. I passed 1 or 2 groups that were parked on the side of the road and just drove past them. I asked them if hey, you guys need anything? No. Okay. Drove on.
Yeah.
It took me about an hour and a half to get to the
campsite,
windy camp.
Nice.
Yep. I wasn't really going fast. I wasn't trying to get I wasn't motoring to do it. I was just sort of cruising speed. Was still semi unsure about the TK, so just sort of taking it a little easy.
So you didn't do Soup Bowl?
No, I didn't do Soup Bowl. And I drove the all the way around Little Sluice, the long bypass, because the assistant came with me. Oh. And so I don't know if she's ever gone that route, so I wanted to kind of show it, let her see the view. Did a lot of that, didn't do any of the difficult obstacles. It was just, my goal was just to get in and, not have any problems and make it to camp. So got to camp at, 7:30, 8 o'clock-ish, and popped the rooftop tent and started making dinner and just hung out for the rest of the night, sat by the fire and chilled. And then that morning, 4 in the morning, we started hearing these raindrops hitting the tent.
Oh, Friday. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And it rained until noonish.
Okay.
Something like that. And at some points it was raining pretty hard. So we laid in the tent and just relaxed for everybody had gotten up and they put up some canopies and had a little fire going and we're sitting around that. And the assistant and I just were like, well, let's just relax in the tent and listen to the rain and talk and chill. And so we got out of bed at 10 or something like that, maybe 9:30. And then, ate breakfast and made some coffee and tea and sat by the fire for a while. And pretty much everybody left their camp chair outside.
So everybody's
chair was soaking wet. Except I didn't pull my camp chair out that night. And so I pulled my camp chair out from underneath the rooftop tent. totally dry.
Nice.
It was awesome. Yeah. And then really it was just a chill day for us. It was still somewhat overcast. It was a little bit chilly up there. We went and drove out to the top of Little Sluice and watched the last like 15 Jeeps go by.
Okay.
And then it was really like 1, 2-ish. And that was the end. Like all the rock rollers were walking with the Jeeps, and so the trail was clear after that point. So we went back to the campground and we wanted to go relax on the lake, kayak, do some paddle boarding, swim. But some of the SLO County Crawlers went down to Soup Bowl and played at Soup Bowl since nobody was out there. And then we had a pretty lazy day. At one point earlier in that day, there was a bunch of Jeeps and like coming up onto the private property. And I was like, oh, maybe they're staying at the other campground.
Yeah, the dam camp.
Yeah, dam camp. And then all of a sudden, more Jeeps started coming, and more Jeeps started coming.
No.
And I was like, So I walked down there, and I'm like, are you guys coming out here to camp? And they're like, no, we're the Jeep Jamboree.
The Jeep Jamboree.
Like, you guys are going the wrong way. You're on private property right now. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you missed the turn down there. And they're like, what? I'm like, you all have to turn around.
Yeah.
They're like, what? Like, yep. And so some guy that was leading a few of them got on the radio and said, we all have to turn around. And a few of them, because there's sort of a off-camber rock section down in that area. And a few of them were like, I don't want to drive through that again. One guy in a Gladiator is like, are we almost there? I'm like, to Rubicon Springs? He's like, yeah. I'm like,
no, not at all.
Maybe a third of the way.
Yeah.
He's like, really? I'm like, yes. And he was on
poor Gladiators.
Like, I think 37s, I think.
Well, that's bigger than the one that we know on 29s.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So got them all turned around, walked all the way down to the T and was showing them where the trail goes off. And at that point, one of the rock rollers comes up and he's like, and then he starts asking me, are you with the Jamboree? I'm like, no. He's like, are you with them? I'm like, no. And he's kind of like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm staying at Windy Camp.
Yeah.
And, he's like, oh, sort of like, okay, why are you out here?
Why are you out here? Why are you talking to these people? Why are you telling them where to go?
Yeah, that's kind of. And then I said, they all went up onto John Arns's property, and I was up there turning them around. And he's like, oh, okay, thanks. And then
you do kind of look pretty untrustworthy.
Yeah, right? I know.
So
it's this long hair.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're looking a little shaggy.
Yeah. So I started talking to that guy, found out that there weren't that many more behind them.
Okay.
They were kind of at the tail. And then I started walking up once everybody was turned around, and then John starts driving down. And he sees me, and he's like, are you with Jeep? I'm like, no, I'm not. These guys started driving up onto your guys' property, so I was turning them around. And then he's like, what are you doing out here? And then I was like, well, I'm with the SLO County Crawlers. And he didn't, for obvious reason, he had no idea why I would be affiliated with the SLO County Crawlers until I told him that I went to college with a bunch of them. And they're friends of mine from college. And he's like, oh, cool, okay. So then I was like, well, this is the last of them. These guys, these last three are trying to get out. It was, good to see you. I'm going to head back to camp. He's like, okay. And I said, I'm here if you need, I'm on the radio. If you need anything, let me know. I'll be up here. It's like, cool, thanks. And then later that day, we were paddleboarding when we were going around Spider Lake, which I now know why it's called Spider Lake. I don't know if there's a real reason why it's called Spider Lake, but it's like a friggin' spider web. Yeah. It's like pretty much. There's inlets and outlets and things that cross, and you can go like across the lake and cover past 30 islands or something like that. It's nuts. So we were paddling around, the assistant and I, and we were taking every opportunity to take a left. Whenever there was a left turn, we took the left turn, unless we could visibly see that it was just like a cove. Okay. We kind of went a little, maybe a hair in, and then just turned, kept going. Okay. But yeah, it's completely circumvented that entire lake. And when we were on the far end and we're turning around, who comes putting up the lake in a little rowboat with a troller motor on it?
John Arns?
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what are you doing over here? And he's like, oh, I'm picking up my daughter. She's hiking the 4 miles from Loon Inn.
Nice.
I'm like, oh, cool. And then I was like, you're like Spider Lake Uber service. We got a good laugh over that. And so, yeah, we paddled the rest away. We paddled to the other kind of corner from his property, and there was a few ladies out there that were tent camping, because on that side of the lake is public property, and you can camp over there. And so they're like, did you guys carry those in?
The paddle boards?
The paddle boards. We're like, no, we drove in. And they're like, you can drive in? We're like, yeah.
I wonder if they were part of an all-women's hiking group. No? Okay.
I don't think so. There was two like groups of two ladies each.
Okay.
That was it over there.
Gotcha.
So they were all fascinated by the fact that we could drive
into that area.
And I was like, I wanted to be like, yeah, I got a fridge, I got a bunch of beer, I have these paddle boards. It's like, it's really nice to not have to carry a 50-pound backpack or whatever. So, but yeah, I talked to them for a little bit.
I have a memory foam mattress.
Yep. So I talked to them for a little bit, paddled out. Paddled back, hung out for a little bit. Then everybody else started showing up, and played in the lake for a little bit longer. And then pretty much hung out by the fire, ate dinner, relaxed, went to bed. The next day, which was Saturday, everybody. So the thing about Saturday is nobody's really on the trail. Everybody's at the Rubicon Springs hanging out for Jeep. And so our plan was to leave Saturday, because some people might be coming down the trail on Sunday, and we wanted to be ahead of that. Plus, I wanted a slight break in between wheeling on the Rubicon with SLO County Crawlers, coming home, and immediately leaving to wheel the Rubicon with GlueTread. So we drove out. We did another lake day. It was a bright, sunny, gorgeous day. We got slightly sunburnt, it was everybody stayed because it was a gorgeous day. So it was this ginormous lake day. All the floaties came out, everybody was out there. There was, king of the paddleboard scenarios going on with, like King of the Mountain, but the kids were just trying to knock me off and do whatever. It was fun. So we left, cruised home, uneventful. For my memory, I don't think anything happened. It just got hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter as we drove down the hill.
Yeah.
So Sunday was pretty low key. I think I just went back to the house and I did some snail armor stuff for the shop, and then I just walked around the rig and checked things out and got it ready for the GlueTread outing.
Yeah.
So how much of that do you want to go into? Because I think on Monday's episode coming up, we're going to talk
quite a bit of that about that episode
with Simon and Andy from GlueTread, and talk about at least day 1, 2, right?
So day 1 and day 2, we're going to be covering that on Monday's episode here coming up. So we won't get into too many details. Essentially, I picked them up from the airport Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
And then, Sunday morning, I picked them up and went out to breakfast, and that's when we ran into Eric, who we talked about on the episode. And then from there, it was just kind of me packing all of our stuff in the 4Runner and them helping and trying to get everything situated to be able to get everything up to the spillway at Loon Lake in the 4Runner. And then I figured once you and Nick came in the Gladiator, then we could kind of divvy up equipment from there. So... That
reminds me, I think I left your tents at my house.
You bastard.
Sorry.
I need one for this weekend.
Damn.
I'll have to come grab it. So anyways, the trip was great. It went a lot better than I thought it was going to. I made the split decision Monday morning to not stab all 4 tires.
Yeah.
And we only stabbed the front 2. And then those did so well that we stabbed the rear 2 tires the next day at Buck Island, which was day 2. I did want to talk a little bit about day 1, though, and mainly not a lot about it, just essentially the run-in with the all-women's hiking group.
Okay.
So we're hanging out at Little Sluice, waiting for our turn.
Yeah, there was 3 rigs trying to get through the little sluice box there, and it took them like an hour and a half.
2 hours. I think.
hours.
I think we were there for 2 hours before we got our turn. Yeah.
Yeah, it was nuts.
But yeah, they got really hung up. One of the rigs got turned almost completely sideways. And they were we even went up there and said, hey, do you want to help? Like, we can give you a tug, or we can help out with, setting up rigging for winch line or something. They're like, no, we got it. And then they sat there and proceeded to stack rocks for a completely turtled and high-centered rig to try and get them off of where they were. And we're like, that's not going to work, but no, okay, whatever. And so we went back and hung out down by the restrooms at Little Sluice, and we're having some drinks.
Yep.
Some sodas and water because I was getting dehydrated. It was hot that day. These kind of the whole trip in, there was a group of ladies.
Well, remember when we got to the spillway in the morning and this van showed up and like these 3 ladies come running out of the van down to the bathroom?
Yep.
And we found out that they were going to be hiking.
Yep.
We're like, oh, cool.
Oh, that's cool. You guys are hiking. And we were just like, hey, where are you going in? They said they were going to go in through Rubicon Trail into Desolation Wilderness.
Yep.
I was like, cool. That sounds like a lot of fun. Turns out we kept passing them and they kept passing us throughout the day on the trail until we got to Little Sluice. And when we got to Little Sluice, they were as we were pulling up to Little Sluice, they were taking a little bit of a break.
Right.
On the sides of the trail.
There was like a group down by winter camp.
Yeah.
And then there was a group like halfway between winter camp and Little Sluice.
Yeah. And they were just sitting on the side of the trail and kind of watching us as we were going through. And so we're being really respectful and, saying hi to them. We've said hi to them multiple times throughout the day. And we're like, hey guys, is it break time? And they were like, yeah. And
I drove by and offered them waters. Like, you guys good? You need any water? You need anything? I got a ton of water.
Yep. I did too. Offered them some water. There was a few of them that didn't look very happy about us driving through and keep kind of talking to them. Like, I kind of got the vibe that they were like, can you stop talking to us throughout the day?
Yeah. And I didn't ever get that vibe. Whenever I drove past them, I'd say hi or wave or offer them something, and nobody ever responded.
Yeah.
They were always sort of quiet.
Yeah. And that's kind of the vibe I got. But I mean, usually if people are doing that, that means they don't want to be talked to. I think, at least. So
I never ever get that clue.
You did. So. Got it.
I just keep talking.
Just keep talking. You're too friendly. And so, we got up there and, a couple of the ladies though were like, yeah, we're out having a good time hiking. I was like, cool. That's awesome. That's great. And I was like, you guys are crazy for hiking this. And they're like, you're crazy for driving. I was like, yep. And so once we were hanging out at Little Sluice, one of the girls comes up carrying a bag and she puts it down under a tree and then goes running off back to the group. And about 5 minutes later, she comes carrying another bag up. And then I don't remember if she put it down at the tree or what. Oh, and then her mom was following her from there, this older lady. And so we're like, hey, do you want some help? Like, what are you doing with those 2 bags? Do you need some help getting them somewhere? Like, why are you carrying 2 bags by yourself here? Yeah. And they're like 50 to 70 pound bags. And so she goes, oh, no, yeah, we're out. This is my mom's 60th or 65th?
60th, I think.
60th birthday. And she wanted to come and do this hike with me for her birthday. And I was like, oh, cool. What's the hike? And she's like, yeah, it's an all women's hike. I was like, that's super cool. Like, you got to get to go with a bunch of women. There was 20 of them, 15 of them.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
And going out on this trip, just them. With some guides.
Yep.
So they were on a guided hike through the Rubicon, through Desolation. They were supposed to be camping, I don't know, up near Spider Lake somewhere. And so, but supposedly, at least that's what the girl said. And I was like, well, like, are you guys like, where at Spider? Because we're going to be going right by Spider.
Yeah. Because we offered to throw one of the bags in our trucks and we're like, are you going to Spider or are you going to Buck?
Yeah. Because they weren't sure.
Which direction are you going? And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, we're like, if you're going to Buck, we can tote totally take one of your bags down there. You don't have to carry 2 bags.
Exactly.
So she's like, I don't know. Let me go find out. So she ran back to the leaders, I guess, and came back. And she's like, we're going to Spider. And I'm like, okay, it's literally right over that hill.
Yeah, it's right over that hill. You guys aren't that far. But I was still, and she goes, okay, cool. Well, I'll just continue shuttling the bag the way I've been doing it. So she's shuttling one bag, 100, 200 yards, putting it down under a tree, then going back, getting the second bag and shuttling it.
Right.
I was like, oh my God, that's so exhausting. I was like, if you guys are camping like on this side of Spider, I will totally, we have time that we're not going anywhere in Little Sluice anytime soon. Let's just shuttle the bag to wherever you're going for you, that we don't have to spend all this energy. And then we'll come back and we'll get to continue on with our trip. And she goes, I don't know where we're staying though. So I looked over it and I was like, all right, who's a guide? And one of the girls raised their hand. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, where are you guys going today? She goes, Spider and then beyond. And I was like, oh, you're not camping at Spider? She goes, no. And I was like, okay. And so I turned and looked at the girl and I was like, well, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Good luck kind of thing. And so we're sitting there and somebody in our group offered her a beer and she took it because everybody else is kind of like slowly getting past us. And then they started walking up, literally up the wall of Little Sluice, right? On the passenger side as you're going up through Little Sluice.
Yeah. The ramp.
Yeah, the ramp right there. Their group started going up that. And I was like, you know what? We're not doing anything. We're sitting here trying to wait our turn. I'm not good at sitting and waiting. And so I was like, you know what? Let me just carry the bag up here to the top of the ramp for you. And then you guys can, from there, if you're heading over to Spider, you can split off and do whatever you want. So I started carrying her bag and she was carrying her mom's bag. And we started going up and we're kind of in the back of the group. And Ryan came with me as well with us up that ramp rock. And as we're going up the ramp rock, an older lady who was close to 70, I think she was 68.
I don't know. All I remember is I think she had both of her knees in like bracing, I think is a good way to put it. Like, not spandex, but like tight
compression sleeved
bracing.
Yeah, she was in compression sleeve. She was moving really slow.
She had walking canes too.
Walking sticks in both hands. A lighter bag, but you could tell she was struggling. She was focusing as hard as she could, moving really slowly. She was sweating a lot. And she started going up that ramp rock. And, Ryan and I are just kind of sitting there like, hey, we're just going to try and help people up here because the guides weren't doing shit.
Right.
And the guides were like all in the front of the group and nobody was really attending and watching the people in the back of the group. And the lady fell.
Yeah.
She literally fell on the ground. As soon as she went down onto all fours, she just started bawling, like crying.
Really?
Yes.
Oh no.
And you could tell that just mentally she was done for the day. She was exhausted physically, exhausted mentally. And she was at her breaking point. And I was like, oh my God. Like I did whitewater rafting guiding for 5 years. And I'm like, your number one goal when you're a guide is to get everybody to your destination safely. You're in charge of their well-being. The secondary goal is to make sure that people are getting out of the trip what they want to get out of the trip, right?
Yep.
And if you have somebody who's struggling this hard, you need to you need to take one of the guides. They had 3 guides on that trip, and you need to be taking one of them, and that guide is dedicated to that person for the rest of the trip.
Right. That's smart.
And she wasn't doing it. And all 3 of them didn't even know that this was going on in the back. And Ryan and I are both like, oh my God, this lady's going to die out here. And so Ryan took her bag. We helped her up the cliff, the ramp rock there, got her to the top. And we were just kind of like, hey, just hang out here for a second, catch your breath. There's no need to hurry off now. Like, just gain your composure. You can do this. You're good. We're here for you. And the 3 guides come back to us and they're like, hey guys, thanks. We'll take it from here. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, hey, just FYI, this lady, you guys should probably keep an eye on her a little bit more. And they're like, yeah, I know. We're on an all ladies trip and you guys are really killing the vibe.
Right. I remember you saying
and
that.
I was like, what? like, are you, immediately in my head, I was like, you're killing your participants.
Right.
Like, oh, are you kidding me?
Yeah. You're killing the vibe and you're not paying attention to your crew at all.
Yeah.
And you're having a lady falling and struggling and you just are trying to move along and get away from the guys.
Yeah. And I understand that's what they were really trying to do, was get away from the guys, because it's an all women's trip and they're out there to, there's a lot of benefits to being in the outdoors with experiential education. We should get into that sometime. I wrote a paper in college about it. But anyways, I was like, I get it. I get why they wanted to keep things moving and why they didn't want the girls getting help, quote unquote, from the guys. But at the same time, you need to be a pragmatic, and realize when somebody is struggling that much. And so, yeah, it was really disappointing to see coming from the guiding service. And I talked with Andy about it afterwards, because he does guiding as well and hunting, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And he was like, yeah, you don't do, like, if you have somebody struggling, you're on that person for the rest of the trip. Like, I was like, yeah, it was really disappointing to see the state, the physical and mental state of that person coming from the guide service sides of things. So
I think it's a hard one too, though, because I think they're only about halfway from where they needed to go.
Yeah, probably. And it was about 3:30, 4 o'clock at that time. Yeah.
And it's only going to go slower.
Yeah.
The further and further and further you go down this line, it's going to, that person's already to the point of exhaustion. And now you're asking her to do double that.
Yep.
And it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And so, I think that at some point you either need to figure out plan B or take her back, or,
something like, something
I'm sure
needs to happen where like you just don't do that to people.
That too, to some extent there's this, the overarching success of accomplishment when you do succeed on something like that. But do you think that lady is going to be able to succeed?
Right.
I don't know. It was a weird scenario. It's like the ladies wanted help.
Yeah, they did.
But the guides were like, stop.
Yeah. Stop helping. Yeah.
You're killing the vibe.
Yeah. Out of everything they could have said, you're killing the vibe. I was like, that's such you're putting your pride before the health of your customers and your participants. I was like,
well, I'm glad you were up there, because I probably would have been a lot more negative towards that. I seriously would have been like, hey, like this, whatever you're doing isn't working. Yeah. No. I would have been like going down that road, like, I get you're an all woman, like you all want to succeed. Like I'm all for that, but you're not succeeding.
You're not. Yeah. And you need to be able to come to that realization. And if you can't do that, then you have no business being a guide.
Yeah.
So anyways, I know what company they were working for and what company was doing the trip.
Oh, really?
They're actually a raft guide company that I did rent-a-guiding with back when I was a whitewater rafting guide. And turns out I just thought that all they did was whitewater stuff. Apparently they do like adventure camps, which is what this was, where they do, a few days of whitewater rafting. They do a few days of like camping and ropes course team building stuff. And then a few days of hiking out in the wilderness. And they were on the hiking portion of this adventure camp.
Oh, cool.
An all ladies adventure camp. And I was like, oh, I know that company. I'm going to have to call and give some feedback, because I don't know, even if like maybe that's how they really want their trips ran. I don't know. But me being a business owner, I would want to know if my employees were failing that bad.
Yeah.
So I still haven't done that yet. I just got back from Sierra Trek.
Right? I was like, when have you had time?
I haven't really had time. So anyways, I wanted to talk about that scenario, because it just goes that, when you're hanging out in the mountains, especially the high Sierras, you need to keep an air of humility about you. and know when things are going bad and when you need to turn around or accept help from people. Like, you cannot let your pride get in the way when you're trying to do adventure stuff in the high Sierras in dangerous scenarios.
Right.
That's how bad things happen very quickly.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason why I wanted to bring up that story, I guess, from that day. The rest of the day was really good. Camped at Buck Island, absolutely gorgeous. I had never camped in that spot before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I see why you like it so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite spots.
The weather ended up being so good that we never used tents.
Right.
Well,
You didn't.
I didn't.
You, Andy, and Simon didn't.
And Ryan.
Yeah.
So the two bougie people.
The two bougie with the GFC and then the rooftop tents used their tents.
Yes, they did. And so, what was it? The next morning, Tuesday morning, Ryan, I got up early. It was like 5:30, 5:45, and just kind of went for a hike around the lake, around Buck Island. And then pretty soon after that, like Ryan showed up randomly. And I was like, oh, hey, what are you doing? He goes, what are you doing? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So we were hanging out on the lake. And then like 20 minutes later, Simon showed up.
Oh, that's
We're
funny.
like, what are you doing here? He goes, what are you guys doing here? There was a flock of geese that came over and kind of like was just kind of perusing the shoreline near us. Before Simon showed up, Ryan and I found a 6-foot section of shoreline that was littered with rusted nails.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. And we have no clue where they came from. It almost seems like somebody took apart a bunch of wood boards because each nail was bent, like as if it was being pulled out with a claw hammer or something. But we filled up. We just started taking and pulling all the rest nails and putting them in our water bottles. And we filled up 2 water bottles full of nails.
Yeah. That's nuts.
And granted, like you're not going to get a vehicle down to where we were, but if like somebody's hiking barefooted around there or a kid is hiking barefoot around there, it was just tetanus waiting to happen. So we picked up all those, ran into Simon, and a flock of geese came. And Ryan is apparently a goose whisperer.
Really?
Yes. He started just sitting there and was talking to the geese, and all of them started just approaching him.
Like he was honking at him?
Like he was honking at him, yeah. And they were all just coming up to him like he was going to feed him or something. And so he had this like semicircle of geese around him. And so I started taking these pictures and videos. And he goes, I'm going to catch one of these motherfuckers. And so I'm just waiting for him to catch one. He goes, I need something stronger bait. And so he ran back to camp and got some Cheetos.
Okay.
From camp, brought him back and was trying to catch a goose with Cheetos. I was like, what are you going to do if you catch one? He goes, I'm going to throw it up in Nick's tent with him. And so at that point on, I was like all in. I was like, I really hope you catch one of these things. I would love to see a goose up in Nick's tent with him.
Yeah.
It never happened though. We couldn't catch one. But that was the highlight to that morning. Next day we went down to the springs, recorded a bitchin' fun podcast with them, went swimming in the river right there next to the campsite at the VIP area. We got to sit and talk with Mark and Maria for a while, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then after that, we kind of just went to bed, and we saw a couple people that came and hung out with us over in the VIP area for a while. Where were they from? Auburn?
Auburn.
Yeah.
First time running the Rubicon.
Mm-hmm. So they were cool and fun to hang out with. And then after that, the third day, we went and did Cadillac Hill. Before
we go down that adventure, I just wanted to say that it really never hurts to ask.
Yeah.
Because when we were checking in at the Rubicon Springs,
yes.
You're like, hey, can we stay at, what do you call it? Pine Grove Camp?
Pine Grove, yeah.
At the Pine Grove.
Yep.
And they were like, oh, it's full. And then I started going, well, what about the slaps? Oh, no, somebody has that reserved. Well, what about this area? What about that area? What about VIP? And they're like, you could go in VIP.
Yeah.
I was like, sweet.
Awesome.
And it like when we found out that Pine Grove was taken, we were just like, okay, we'll just go find a spot.
Yeah,
Whatever.
we'll find one of the camp spots as you first hit the springs, one of those ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like, I think we got a much better spot just by asking. Just never hurts to ask.
Yeah, the worst they can do is tell you no. So
exactly.
Yeah, that was really cool. Kudos to you for thinking of that and getting us the VIP area. Really cool spot back there. And so, we had a great evening, had tacos.
Yeah.
We ate all the tacos and more. So apparently everybody was hungry.
Yeah.
And then Cadillac Hill the next day went pretty well. No issues at all.
No.
Had some fun filming, but we were on kind of a tight time crunch. And so we had to kind of keep the group moving fairly quickly. I got out to Tahoma staging, and it looked like somebody had left a trash bag near the bathroom or something, and a bear got it and took it down into the meadow and just ripped it apart. There was trash. There was trash everywhere.
I was a few minutes behind you because Bobcat doesn't like bumpy roads.
No, yeah.
And when I caught up to you guys had 3 bags of trash that you combined and made into 1 bag of trash. That you just had picked up from out there.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It was pretty nutso how much trash was down that little meadow area, but we picked it all up. And then drove the Forerunner, Bobcat, and the Gladiator, Lazy Boy, all the way down. Oh, not all the way, but down into Tahoe, and we made it to Sonny's Barbecue for lunch.
Nice,
which is my favorite barbecue place. And you went up 80, right?
I went up 89 to Highway 80.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it was just us and the Lazy Boy, I guess.
When we were at that stop sign, I Googled it, and it was 45 minutes faster for me to go up and down 80.
That makes a lot of sense, though. I mean, because otherwise you'd have to come down to 50 and then back up to 80.
Right.
Once you're down the Sacramento area.
Exactly.
So.
Also, when I was at that stop sign, I hopped out to look at something in my steering. And my steering shaft that comes from the steering wheel that goes down to my power steering box was almost completely separated from my power steering box.
Do you still have the rag joint in there?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a rag joint, and then there's it looks like a CV joint or a U joint. And then I have an adapter because my truck has a body lift on it. And so I just pulled a hammer out, and I hammered it on and, squeezed it back on there. And then I drove up to Truckee for the most part.
Okay.
And then I stopped right before I got on the freeway because I wanted to look at the rig. My rig was at 55 miles an hour. It was getting a weird vibration or a vibration, which isn't weird for Bobcat right now. So I just wanted to go around and check that all the bolts were tightened, see that, if there was anything missing, and while I was walking around, I noticed that my power steering box and that adapter had slipped back
again.
Not all the way, not nearly as far, but it had slipped back again.
Interesting.
And so I hammered that on again. And then I noticed that there was a built Toyota and some built Jeeps on the other side of the parking lot. And so I drove over there, and who was it? But none other than Adam. Oh, that one dude.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And so I parked next to him, and I guess he didn't see me drive by or wasn't paying attention, but I walked around the corner and I was like, oh my God, are you Adam? Oh, that one dude? And he turns around Adam-ish. Yeah. And he's like, oh, Jimmy. And he's like, are you headed up to track? I'm like, kind of.
Detour back home first?
Yeah. I said, I literally just got off the Rubicon doing this GlueTread thing. I told him about it.
Nice.
And I said, but I'm going to head home for the night. And then I'm going to decide on what I'm doing in life. And then I'll come up to track. And so we talked for a little bit, but then I took off, and then it was a really slow drive home because I was only able to go about 50 on the freeway. And every 10 exits, I pulled off and looked at that adapter.
Oh yeah. You're
and there was a few, sometimes I'd pull off and it'd be right in, I could tell that, I could start to see the shiny part of what it covered up.
Okay, yeah.
There were sometimes I pulled off and it was right where I left it, right where it hammed on. There's a few times when I pulled off and it started to show shiny stuff. And there's a few times when I pulled off and it was about to fall off.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And so I started going down from 10 exits to 5 exits just to make sure I could make it home. And then when I got home, I drove onto the property. I turned into the side of the property where the shop is. I did a hard driver turn across the pad so that I could reverse and back up onto the pad. And then all of a sudden, smoke everywhere.
What?
Yeah. Like white smoke rising from under the hood, coming through the vents into the cab. And I was like, what the, and I sort of just stopped and watched it for a second. And the smoke was slowing down. I was like, okay. And so then I grabbed my Element fire extinguisher and I popped the hood and I looked in and like smoke bellowed, like a plume of smoke came out, but then it wasn't smoking anymore. And so I started looking around and there was some smoke coming off of the exhaust. So then I stuck my head down in front of the vehicle to go see like what's happening in the exhaust, and the whole front of my truck was wet, and that other power steering line popped.
Oh no. No way.
So I had the old power steering line break on the Rubicon, like during the listener run. And then the other one broke, literally pulling it like back, about to back up into the shop.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know, like I didn't pinch it. There's no way that I could have really, done anything too much, but
dude, those lines are ready to go.
They were ready to go. They were old. They've been through a lot. But I got super lucky that it was at my house.
Can you imagine if it had popped while you were on the freeway?
Yeah, I don't know. I would have probably just kept driving.
You could have, I mean, what about like flashing and having a fire though? An engine fire on the hot exhaust right there?
Power steering. Yeah, that's
power
flammable.
Steering fluid, yeah.
Very flammable. Yeah. So, but at that point, I was already on my property.
Yeah.
I didn't want to think about everything else that could have gone bad. And I'd already thrown a bunch of fluid out, right? Because it made all this mess. Yeah. I was like, well, screw it. I'm just going to crank my wheel the other. Like I was full driver. I had to go pretty much full passenger to reverse and pull up onto the pad.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I was like, all right, let's go. So I just cranked it and then moved it back straight and pulled myself on the pad. And that was like, okay, that's it. Like that's, all I'm going to do. And then I threw a piece of cardboard underneath the truck to catch some of the power steering fluid that was leaking down still. And I highly underestimated the amount of power steering fluid that was going to come out. It was because I threw this I don't know, 1 foot by 2 foot square thing of or a rectangular thing of cardboard down. And the next day when I showed up, it was like puddle underneath my tire, like completely bad. And then anyway, so I couldn't go, like Bobcat was done at that point. I don't have another spare line. Maybe I could have called a friend to get a spare line. So I made the call that I'm just going to stay home for another day and just get some stuff done. And I was going to take the Tacoma up to Sierra Trek. Yeah. And so I I had like 6 panels I needed to get out. I took the power steering line, the broken one, off of Bobcat and took it to Rockland Hydraulic and said, can you make this? And he's like, yeah, I think we can. And I said, cool. Can I get 2 of them? And he's like, no, I don't have enough hose. I'm like, I don't need it today. Yeah. He's like, oh, yeah, okay. So I think if I needed 1, he was going to do it immediately then. But at that point, I was like, that was the next day, because I was supposed to drive up. So that was Wednesday driving home. I blew the line. Thursday, I was supposed to turn around and drive up to Trek. Right. But I was like, let me reset a day. And so, all that happened. And so on Thursday, I took the line in and so I should, in the next day or so, I should be able to get 2 more lines. Nice. I pulled my, since then I pulled the, steering shaft out and I'm going, to cut that in like half and extend it more or less 2 inches. Is really about all it needs. That I measured it out. The whole thing's like 28 and some like 3/16 inches long or something. And the adapter was more or less 2 1/8 inches long on there. And so I'm going to cut the shaft in half. I got some tubing already. It was like a 7/8 inch round diameter thing. And so asked Hustle Nuts if he had any spare tubing around that I could use, because I looked through mine and I didn't have anything. And he's like, I got some, I think he had 1 inch, that's 120 wall.
Oh, jeez.
Right. So it's like, okay. Yeah. That's perfect.
Yep.
Or some, it's going to be close. I might need to grind it down a little bit to get it on, but it'll be pretty close. Oh, it wasn't 7/8. It was 3/4 of an inch. So
the tube was
the shaft, the rod for the shaft was 3/4 of an inch.
Okay.
That was 0.75.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's going to be damn near 1 inch, 120 wall is like going to be perfect.
It's 70, 3/4 of an inch in ID.
Yeah. And so maybe need to shave it down a little bit, but I'm going to extend that out. I pulled my drive shaft out and I took it down to Sac Drive Line this morning. Mm-hmm. And
was Mike there?
Mike was not there.
Oh,
so I was going to say hi. I did ask if he was around. He was not there. One of the guys is like, no, he's out on vacation, or he's out, doing something at fun. And another guy's like, no, he's probably at one of his other businesses.
Yeah.
Like that's probably closer to the truth.
Yeah.
Let's see. And there's something else I was planning on doing, because we have in like a week from when this episode comes out.
Yep.
We're going to be out on the Rubicon again with TCLA Rubathon.
TLCA.
Yep. TLCA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm in this rush to like try and get a bunch of small things done to be able to get Bobcat. Oh, the other thing was I'm going to put new rubber on Bobcat. And I'm also going to do internal bead locks on Bobcat.
Nice. For Rubathon?
For Rubathon. My goal is to get all that done for Rubathon.
Yeah.
So I've got like whatever that is, a list of 4 or 5 things. Because I was also, if there's time, I want to try to do make like actual bump stops because I don't have any. And new rubber is just going to
eat away the bed.
Eat away everything on like my tires are like 35s. Yeah. Because they're so worn down and they rub still already. So new rubber is going to just be bad. So bump stops would probably be nice, but yeah. So I've got the power steering line, the steering shaft, new tires, the drive shaft, and if possible, bump stops.
Nice.
In the next like 7 days.
That should be pretty good. I have a nice little laundry list of things I need to do to Kermit as well after the Rubicon trip. One of them is new rubber because mine all have patches on the sidewalls now.
Yes.
Which, by the way, the patches still held up driving on the highway from Tahoma down to Fresh Pond, where we stashed the trailer.
Which I think we need to say that the patches are not DOT approved.
They're not DOT approved.
That was something that we just, to get the vehicle to the safe location, we did need to drive it on the road a little bit.
Yeah.
But they're not DOT approved, and you're taking that into your own hands if you're driving.
Exactly.
On the flip side, I'm not sure a cop would ever notice.
Yeah.
So
they don't notice my bead locks apparently. So, they did just fine. My day Wednesday was super hectic.
Yeah.
We had to get the GlueTread, Andy and Simon, back to the airport.
Simon's from Headlamp
Productions. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, Headlamp Productions. He has his own production company doing a lot of outdoor videography and content, content and photography. So really, really cool guys. They're super into outdoors. You guys will hear all about it on Monday. So Morphlate Ryan brought his car up and stashed it at Fresh Pond with my F-150 in the trailer. So we moved all their gear into his car and he drove them out to the airport. And then Nick stayed with me. We got the 4Runner loaded on the trailer and then headed on down the hill. I think I got home around 11:30 noon, something like that. And
you might have beat me home.
Really?
Maybe.
Interesting.
Well, I
couldn't have because we stopped at Sonny's Barbecue for half an hour, and that was.
I talked to Adam for a little while.
Yeah. No, I didn't get home by noon because we got off the trail. We got to Tahoma staging at like 10:45, and then I think we made it to Sonny's Barbecue at like 11:45.
Okay.
And then we were out of there by 12:15, 12:20, which means I was probably home, I think, probably closer to 2:30.
Okay. Yeah. I'm scrolling back through the texts with the missus, and I got home about 2:15.
Okay. So I got home shortly after you, I think. Pretty shortly. But I got home and immediately went to turn everything over, right? And the hiccup that I had that kind of made things take a little bit longer in turning over and getting the F-150 ready to go up to Meadow Lake for Sierra Trek was that the secretary got COVID.
Yeah.
She had a work event Friday and Saturday night downtown in Sacramento. And so she ended up contracting COVID and testing positive and showing symptoms and everything for it while I was up on the Rubicon. And so we were trying to do everything we could. I had to go home. She set out masks in the garage for me, and she like locked herself in one of the rooms in one of the bedrooms.
Oh, wow.
While I got everything turned around. I got new clothes. I showered. And then I moved all of the equipment over to the F-150, the camping equipment and whatnot. I had to pack all of the Morflate booth stuff. And get the camping trailer, move all of the camping kitchen stuff from the Rubicon trip and put it back in the camping trailer.
Right.
Which is going to be a pain in the ass now. I think I'm going to have to create 2 camping setups now. And
just
then,
like multiple tools.
Yeah, right. Which, by the way, I just recently, out at Overland Expo, I talked about getting a bunch of Step 22 bags. They all came in, and I got all the stuff, all of my recovery equipment, tools, welding equipment, and I made an electrical bag. I got all of that put together into 5 Step 22 bags. So much better than doing totes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And just everything, like the whole back cargo area of the 4Runner used to be taken up by those 4 things. And now like half of it is taken up by the bags, if that. So anyways,
sometimes there's a lot of wasted space in totes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's my big issue. So, super happy with the new bag setup. But I was able to take the bags. I took the tools and electrical and threw them in the F-150, and I took all the recovery equipment and welding equipment and threw it in the garage.
Yeah.
I was like, I shouldn't need any of this stuff. And so, got everything turned over, and I think I left my house around 8:30, 9 p.m. to head up to Meadow Lake, and got into Meadow Lake about midnight.
Wow. That's a long day, dude.
It was a long day. I drove a lot of hours.
Yeah.
And so,
a lot of miles.
There's a lot of miles.
You went from more or less South Lake Tahoe to Sacramento to more or less Truckee, and then in long dirt road. That's true, because it took me almost 3 hours to get home, and you're like half an hour past me. Mm-hmm. So yeah, wow. Plus, how depends on because I only took the Tacoma.
Yeah,
and that flew down that road.
Yes,
and when there was the graded part, and then where it gets rough, I aired down to 15 using my Morflate. And that just made it all that faster.
Nice.
So,
yeah, I took the camping trailer in, so I wasn't able to go super fast. It's lighter weight, which is nice, but I had just also installed 200 amp hours of lithium ion batteries. I still have another 100 amp hours to install, but I got the solar charger in. So that was like one of the things on Saturday before Rubicon, before the GlueTread trip. I had like an extra hour and a half. And I was like, let's see if I can get this installed.
Yeah, right.
So I put the battery and the solar charger in, and so that I could use it up at Sierra Trek and kind of use that as the testing grounds for it.
Cool.
So we'll get into that, how Sierra Trek went next Thursday.
All right.
Capiche?
Capiche. Sounds good.
Cool. So that does it for this episode.
Oh.
Yeah, I know it's sad. Sad times. But because
it's good.
It is good. We do have a lot of content for you guys. It's been a busy summer. Again, sorry we missed the episodes last week. That's my fault. My bad.
Well, I got one out on Thursday.
I listened to it. It was good.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks.
I'm glad one of us is responsible.
You and I need to talk about audio quality, because that really didn't sound good, and I want to figure out some better solutions in case of that sort of an emergency happens again.
Gotcha. Yeah. There's some
air quotes in there, by the way.
Yeah. There's some things that can be done, I think. So, cool, man. We're going to finish up with Sierra Trek next Thursday. This Monday, we have the GlueTread trip, day 1 and 2, and get to learn about Andy and Simon and what they do and kind of how they got into doing what they do. Super, super fun episode, interview with them. And then I think next Monday, we've got some more content already lined up.
Yeah.
From Sierra Trek as well.
Yeah.
And then the next week, we're trying to get something else lined up. And I believe the next week, we have something else lined up already.
Probably.
So content is flowing. It's a busy summer. Hopefully, everybody out there is enjoying it. We have some really fun episodes to kind of finish out the summer with everybody before we get into fall here. So hopefully you guys enjoy what you're listening. Hopefully your ear holes are happy. And tune in on Monday for a really fun episode.
If you want to get a hold of us, you can reach me at jimmy@snailtrail4x4.com. You can find Tyler at snailtrail4x4.com, though he almost never checks it smeems like these days. So
yeah, I just pulled it up this morning. I was like, oh, I haven't checked it since the beginning of July.
Reach him at Tyler at Myo Radio or moreflate.com.
Yeah.
You can always phone in 916-345-4744, or you can find us on Instagram, which is probably the fastest way you'll get us to respond.
True.
Snail Trail 4x4 iMonitor and 4x4 Toyota Tyler is what Tyler checks.
Yes, sir. So I think that about does it. There's some cool content coming out on the gram on both channels over the next month. Yeah. From the past week. There was a lot of content creation going on. It was a lot of fun. So be aware of that and check that out as well if you're looking for some fun entertainment. So without further ado, Jimmy Jet, do you have any final words for everybody?
Consider the weird.
And with that, my friends, keep crawling.
I got one for you.
Joke time.
What do mermaids wash their tail with?
I don't know.
Tide.
Okay.